Hello, my name is Danielle and I'm a second-year student in the Faculty of Arts. I'm excited to share with you the project I have been researching this past summer, entitled Modern Acedia and the Concept of Oversaturation, Evidence from the Last 25 Years. Acedia is a Greek term which originally meant a lack of care, often in respect to treatment of the dead. It later rose to prominence in late antiquity, approximately the 4th to 6th century CE, with the Desert Fathers, early Christian monks who lived in isolated cells in the Egyptian desert. Evagrius and Cassian, two desert fathers who formed the standard understanding of acedia, described it as a mental state that could manifest in a variety of ways, ranging from irritation to depression to mania. Acedia, which was identified as the demon of noontide, primarily came to mean spiritual indifference. Though acedia eventually fell out of favor, it recently faced an unexpected resurgence during the COVID-19 pandemic as a term to describe the emotions people experienced during lockdown, where it seems to have been especially connected to boredom as popularized in a New Yorker article by Margaret Talbot. The objective of my research was to understand whether the pandemic had caused a shift in the meaning of acedia from its usage in late antiquity. I conducted my research by reviewing relevant academic literature and non-academic media from the past 25 years that used the term acedia. For popular media, such as film and music, I extended my date range to the mid-20th century. I gathered my sources mainly through searches on Google or in academic databases such as PubMed. I surveyed a wide variety of sources, including news sites, both religious and secular, lifestyle blogs, academic journals and books, film and television, novels, and music. Here is a small selection of the material I looked at. After I had gathered all my sources, I grouped them based on the lens through which they approached acedia. I found there are 6 general approaches: Christianity, philosophy, psychology, culture, modern society, and the pandemic. Acedia gained popularity earlier in Christian media than in secular media, where it is often called the sin of our age. At its core, it means a rejection of divinity or a neglect of spirituality. From a philosophical approach, acedia is mostly studied in the works of Kierkegaard as an equivalent to his concepts of spiritual trial and aesthetic boredom. There is a surprising lack of scholarship in this area, especially concerning modern philosophers. Sources that looked at acedia through the lens of psychology often considered it in the history of depression, though notably they avoided equating the two conditions. Acedia is suggested as its own diagnosis, on the same spectrum as but separate from depression. In popular culture, acedia becomes a form of rebellion against modern life. It is the dissatisfaction and disillusionment that stem from its conditions, and thus it can lead to reform. It is a theme in a wide variety of media, from Pulp's Different Class to the television show Only Murders in the Building. Similarly, through the lens of modern society, acedia is commonly equated with burnout, also called overload or oversaturation. The basic argument of this concept is that we live in a world which overflows with content, and since we do not have the resources or time to consume it all, we become indifferent and numb, and eventually we cease to care about anything at all. As burnout, acedia is often connected to the rising prevalence of and our increasing dependence on technology. Finally, the last approach concerns acedia in the pandemic. In articles that originally suggested acedia as a term for the emotions people experienced during lockdown, it is perceived as boredom, restlessness, or anxiety. It is usually attributed to the sudden upheaval of our regular lives and routines. It is the result of an unpredictable and unstable future. All 6 approaches ultimately agree that acedia results from the conditions of modern society. It is evident that there has been a shift in its meaning. This modern acedia may manifest the same as its late antique counterpart, but it differs vastly in its cause. The acedia of early monks stemmed from undersaturation caused by their desert conditions, while the acedia people are experiencing now stems from oversaturation. This became increasingly prevalent during the pandemic. As acedia can present similarly to mental illnesses like anxiety and depression, understanding its many contemporary usages can help us understand the impacts of the pandemic and the conditions of modern society on our mental health. This research will be published in an upcoming Routledge volume on the philosophy of boredom as part of an updated article by Dr. Peter Toohey. I would like to thank the Department of Classics and Religion and its head, Dr. Marika Cassis, for funding my research. I would also like to thank Dr. Peter Toohey for building my work into his project on acedia, and my family for their collaboration and enthusiastic discussion of acedia in popular culture. Thank you for listening to my presentation.